Hello, everybody. Welcome to High Vibe Times with Ashley and Teresa, raw and unfiltered. How are you doing today, Teresa?
I'm doing really good. I walk in the morning and this
Mm.
morning it was like a spring morning. And even now on when I got in the car to come here, it's like 68 degrees still here. I know it's
I
so
hope
nice.
it's coming our way. I'm so
I
jealous.
rolled my windows down and I was like, oh, this feels so good.
They say it's coming this way. We'll see. I'm not convinced yet. I won't believe it until I feel it. That's for sure.
Well, I think maybe because we got it, I think it might be headed your way, but
Good.
yeah. Yeah.
Yay. All right. So today we are talking about the upcoming full moon, which is on August the 19th. And so we want to talk about the full moon, the what it's called this month, because each month has a different name and meaning behind it. We're going to talk about that. I know we talked about this before, but maybe we'll throw in some things that we do during full moon for anybody that may be new. And don't forget, if you have any questions about the full moon or anything else, you can make comments at the bottom, and Teresa and I will get back to you. All right, so August the 19th, full moon, and it is called the Sturgeon Moon.
Mhm.
And it came from, do you remember where it came from, or do you need me to tell?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it came from the sturgeon, that the bird, the sturgeon that came to one of the lakes of the Great Lakes, Lake Champlain. And it was connected to a Native American who live around that region. And it was the sturgeon were so abundant during that time that that is what the Native Americans then referred to as this moon, coming up in August, as the sturgeon full moon.
So is because I read that the sturgeon was a fish. It's a
Is it a
bird?
fish? It is.
Okay. I just wanted to
I'm done. I'm just hey, raw and unfiltered. There we go. And I'm sitting here reading it right here in my head. What is the bird then? That's the big white one. That's the what is that? I'm so ignorant when it comes to
Pelican? Pelican? Are you
no.
thinking
It's a
seagull?
water, it's a water bird. It's white. I don't know. Anyway, that's in my head. That's what it was. So it's fish. It's fish. It's
Yep, it's fish. It's okay.
It is. It's fish. They're plentiful. I was wondering why it mattered that the birds were plentiful. Now I understand it was the fish.
Oh my God, I love it.
Okay,
It's
that's me.
okay. Each of them have a different name that kind of it follows along with nature. And
Yeah.
from what I read, it was like and it is native. The native Indians came up with it because of the fish kind of multiplying during that time,
Mhm.
right? It's like their breeding time or something like that was what, yeah.
And it
So,
makes sort of sense too because when I have friends who are in the healthcare field, and they say during the full moon, I mean, it's number one, the emergency room and things like that get a little bit different during that time, but also babies, how many babies are born
mhm,
during a full moon energy. So,
yeah, absolutely. I
yeah.
agree.
And the other thing I read about, well, I went down a rabbit hole because they kept saying blue moon in August 24, blue
Yes.
moon in August 24.
Yes.
Did you read about that?
Yes, I did. And I did not know that there are two different types of blue moons.
Right?
I did not know that.
I know. I know. Isn't that pretty cool? Because usually, for people that are new to the moon world, typically, I don't know if you've ever heard of the saying once in a blue moon, and that in my all these years, I've always understood it as a month with two full moons,
Mhm.
right? So two full moons that happen in the same month. So that is a once in a blue moon. And so that's what they call a blue moon. But actually, what did you read up on?
It is so the celestial season is what it's called, when there is normally three full moons in a celestial season.
Mhm.
There is a fourth moon in this particular one,
Yes.
which is so crazy. And what I read was that this was initially the first the first blue moon that people talked about was
Mm,
this one. That's why it was so rare, because it only happens every 2 to 3 years. Actually, it's like every 2.5 years.
mhm.
And the last one was August of 21. The next one won't be until 27.
Mm.
Um, but it happens to be the rarest moon that we're going to have in 2024.
Oh, wow.
I read that one too, and it's our first supermoon.
Yeah, cool.
I know. So yeah, and I didn't even know about the second the being in, and it also has to do with the solstice. I read a little bit about it has to do with the solstice, but it has to do with the celestial months, that 3 month period. And there's four, and it's not the fourth one, it's the
Right.
third one in that four series. So
Mhm.
it's the third it's the third full moon in that four series. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I know, that's so cool. I was reading, I was like, oh, really? In which, I love people only think that there's the equinoxes are the only, there's lots of different energies that come in with the celestial calendar. If you've ever heard of the Farmer's Almanac, that is a great resource. I grew up with a Farmer's Almanac calendar on our wall because that's how my grandmother planted, harvested, cut hair, didn't cut hair, bought things, didn't buy things. Like it was just there were things that she just went by the moon in the celestial calendar.
Absolutely.
And they actually have a book. They have a website as well. But you can every year. My dad used to buy me the almanac for that year, and then you could go through the almanac and see like all kinds of things. So it's
Oh yeah.
pretty fascinating. You've never picked up a farmer's almanac, go do that and thumb through it.
I remember specifically that my grandmother picked the day she was going to quit smoking by the Farmer's Almanac because of the energy. Yeah, I remember that specifically. I was young when it happened, but I specifically remember my dad talking about it and her, about the fact that she was looking at how the moon affects it and what was going to be the most beneficial for her to quit smoking.
Yeah, yeah. There's so
Yeah.
many things, and if you've never heard of this before, ask your mom, your grandmother, or even if you have a great grandmother still alive, ask them because so many. My grandmother had she if she was still alive would be 102, and so, no 104, and so that just sort of gives you a context of the age, but she truly would. I mean, plant things, harvest things, not plant things, cut your hair on certain days of the month it would grow, and certain days it would, grow less fast, slower, that's the word.
Mhm.
So it's like it was amazing how, and it was just almost innate in her. Like she knew it, and I think it was probably because her mother and probably her grandmother, because we do have the Native American in our ancestry that they just learn these things. Like you just sort of know that this month at this time after the new moon or full moon or whatever is when you do X, Y, or Z. And
Mhm.
those are the things I do wish now that I could pick her brain about as far as
Yeah.
like, what all she knows about all that stuff, right?
Yeah. It reminds me, there was one story that my dad told me that when he was younger, his dad, so my grandpa, was a farmer as well. And I mean, they had a small property, but he grew a lot of things. And and I thought this was really interesting. He took a board, he put some seed down, and he took a board and he put the board on, he had two spots. One, he put the board on it when it was a new moon. And
Oh,
then the other one, he put the board on it when it was a full moon. And then after this moon had passed, he went out there and showed my dad. He picked up the one that was new moon and nothing had grown. He picked up the one that was a full moon when they planted, and it was a full moon, and it was all grown underneath the board, which signified the energy of the moon. It
Wow.
doesn't matter what. Isn't that significant?
Wow.
That was so profound to me,
Yeah.
that matters that much, the planting of the things that go in the earth with the moon.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
And the other thing I would love to know, because I don't, is farmers today, do they go back to that thought process? Because, I mean, look at how many centuries that was used. The moon was used, the weather was used. Like, I follow this guy on one of the social medias. He's from Britain, and he came over here and was touring. He was doing all this stuff on the social media, and he was somebody made a comment about that he could or they could smell rain. And he was fascinated. He goes, that must be an American thing because we can't smell the rain in the UK. And I'm thinking, you can or you haven't. Like there's a difference, right? And so I'm thinking now I'm like processing, like, is that just like because I mean, we could go out, like we could smell it coming, and then I guess somebody else said, yeah, it was really going to blow your mind whenever you can when we tell him that he can smell snow coming. So I don't think I've ever smelled snow coming. If I did, I don't know it, but um, I just do the farmers today go by the phases of the moon, or is it just like, okay, well, it's March 1st, I got to do X, and it's, you
You
know,
know, my personal opinion would be that they still do, and the only reason that I think that is because they still publish the Farmer's Almanac.
that's true.
So it has to be valued by,
That's true.
enough people for them to still publish it because
Yeah,
it's still out there.
yeah. Well, now I'm going to ask my farmers at the farmers market.
Yes, I would love to know. Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm sure that they do though. I mean, you would think that they do,
I
you
mean,
know.
and it could be difference between like a small farmer, like my farmers at the farmers market versus people who have huge, you know,
Yeah.
crops. I don't know. And is it a difference between uh food that's eaten versus food that's like or like cotton and like
Mhm.
I mean soybeans are eaten, but they're also used for different. So I don't know, but that'd be
Yeah,
fascinating to find out for sure.
it would be.
So just
Yeah.
real quick, what are some of your for those of you that may have not caught one of our full moons discussions before, what are a couple of things you do during full moon?
I love to make moon water. I have a window here in front of me anyway, and so I usually set all of my crystals on my little desk here to kind of charge them. Um, and I howl. I howl
Yes.
at the moon.
I love to howl. It drives my husband crazy, but I love to howl at the moon. It's just getting that. Listen, anything you can do to get your throat chakra open, whether that's sing, I mean, sometimes we have to yell. I get it, just scream it out. But howl. It's why a lot of yoga classes end with the om. It is opening the throat chakra, but especially on a full moon, there is something about opening that throat chakra.
It just makes you feel
It
good.
does.
It makes me feel connected, and
Mhm.
I just do.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I can't wait. I keep telling my husband, I can't wait to move out into the county where I can just step out on the back porch at a full moon and just let it rip.
that's what I get to do.
I know you do. I'm so jealous. But I do the same thing. I do moon water. I put my crystals out. I howl. Full moons, I usually try to set an intention. I do an intention every at the first of each month, but there's something about the full moon of just um re just think about where you are and where you want to go and setting that intention until the next full moon as well. So I also think about that. And I tend to, at least in the last few months, I tend to be extra thankful and grateful on the full moon. And I'm not sure where that's coming from. Maybe that's just something that I have noticed in myself, but on the full moon, because they've been so wonderful this summer. If you haven't been outside for a full moon, go outside and just stand there, face it, close your eyes, and just feel that energy from that full moon.
Yeah, and if you're able to see it this month specifically, it's a super moon, and so that means it's closer, and you're able to. It's bigger and able to see it. Um, I had something else come to me when you was talking, and now I don't. It went away. Um, Oh, letting things go.
Mm.
I think that that's another thing that I always am very conscious of using the moon's energy and
Mhm.
that the energy of the pull of, you know, even if it's something, I go to the point of letting go of the things that I know I need to let go of. And then I also include in there anything that I don't, that is attached to me that's no longer serving me that I may not know of. I release to the moon's
Mhm.
energy.
Mhm.
So definitely I charge the energy on my crystals and I recharge or kind of clear the
Mhm.
energy on myself, which
Yes. Yes.
is
And don't
really
forget,
awesome.
and remember, for those that are watching that may be new to this, and you know, it may be that people around you may be acting a little extra during the full moon, whether that's kids, grandkids, spouse, whomever, person at the grocery store. And it's just the energy. There is energy, and it is, and you feel it, especially with, I know right now, kiddos are going back to school. That is our first week back. And so I'm like, oh, good, first week of classes, and it's a full moon. That's great.
If you talk to any kind of first responders out there, they
Mhm.
tell you that the full moon is always busier. It's just the energy does affect everyone. We just sometimes don't realize it is affecting us in the way that it does, or that it's affecting others in the way that it does. So yeah, have a little bit of grace and understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, please make sure you post those, and Teresa or I or both of us will get back to you. And we hope you have a great full moon.
Bye.